love chewing gum made with wool wax while wearing warm wool sweaters. Sheep hair is so versatile. We use it much more creatively than the sheep do. When annoying bleeding hearts try to tell you that you shouldn't wear wool, just tell them that sheep need to be sheared. That's the beautiful thing about domesticating animals and making them dependent on us. Our ancestors created the perfect excuse for us to exploit sheep today. They domesticated wild mouflons, the ancestors of today's sheep, who would grow fluffy fleeces in the winter and then shed them in the summer. But we've selectively bred sheep over thousands of years to have more and more wool, to the point where it's too much for them, which is great for us because we get to take it and feel like we're doing them a service. At first, mouflon sheep were primarily used for their meat, their milk, and their skins. All good stuff. But it took thousands of years of this domestication for woolly sheep to begin to be developed. Today's sheep will just keep growing wool until they look like this guy here, who was found lost in the Australian bushland. He had 77 pounds of wool on his back. Unfortunately, the person who found him sent him to an animal sanctuary. Ugh, so nobody got a profit off of all of that wool. But it makes me happy to know that even that sanctuary has to shear him. Ha! Because today's sheep have to be sheared, as wool producers are quick to point out in their marketing materials. When sheep have heavy fleeces, they sometimes fall on their backs and can't get up, particularly during lambing season, aka when the moms are heavily pregnant. This makes them vulnerable to predators and suffocation from the pressure on their lungs. But don't worry, as long as you see them on their backs in time, you can just roll them over, and it's actually quite fun, especially watching them struggle. The sheep shearing process is fun too. In theory, sheep don't need to get hurt during shearing if you're slow and gentle and boring, but you don't get paid to be gentle. Shearers get paid by the volume of wool they produce, which encourages rough animal handling. It's painful for the sheep, but great for capitalism. The wool industry is so efficient, extracting everything they can from these animals. Wool is boiled for hours to separate the wool wax, also called lanolin, that protects the sheep's skin and hair from the harsh cold elements. Then, companies put lanolin in hair products and lotions like Aquaphor, so we can moisturize our skin instead of letting the sheep have it, because our skin is more important. Duh. Lanolin is also used as a softener in some foods and as gum base in some chewing gum. It's also processed into vitamin D and added to all kinds of products, including cereals like Rice Krispies, Cheerios, and Corn Flakes. But let's get back to the animals where the most interesting action happens. Merino sheep are bred to have extra wrinkly skin because more skin surface area equals more wool equals more money. But the wrinkles near their rear ends collect moisture, including urine and feces, which attracts flies who lay eggs in the folds of their skin, causing fly strike. To prevent this, wool producers use a nifty process called mulesing, where they carve off a chunk of the sheep's backside to make that area smoother. But then they have a big bloody open wound, so wouldn't that attract flies too? I must just be missing something. The wool producers know what they're doing. The wool industry uses all kinds of cool tools and tricks. For example, to artificially inseminate sheep, they use an automated sheep loader. Shout out to Peak Hill Industries for producing this wonder of humankind. I could watch this video all day long. It just makes me feel good. And shout out to the proud breeders who use these machines, like Karen Pole in Australia, which says its mission is breeding for profit. That's the mission of every animal breeding company. But what I like about Karen Pole is they just come right out and say it. Let's just be honest, we don't care about animals, we care about money. Good on you, Karen Pole. Eventually, a sheep's wool production will decline, just like a cow's dairy production will decline over time, and so will a hen's egg production. But never one to waste a living being. The wool industry does just what the dairy industry does and sends those sheep to be slaughtered for meat. So now that you know this, I hope you wear your wool with pride. You can find clothing made of wool at most clothing retailers and many luxury fashion brands, including Versace, Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, Michael Kors, Gucci, and Saks Fifth Avenue. But watch out, because all those companies have also totally caved to public pressure and dropped animal fur. So they might drop animal hair too if the public realizes that it's also cruel. That's why we must repeat, sheep need to be sheared. Tell everyone you know, and let me know what cool, cruel products you want me to review next.